Let's go ahead and talk about WWE Crown Jewel 2025. They were live in Perth, Australia tonight, and yeah, we kick off the show with the first match of the night. It was Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed with Paul Heyman at ringside in a Australian street fight. So yeah, we get to this match, and this match, it was a pretty good one. It was back and forth and everything. They had a bunch of weapons, like they had a stop sign, they had steel chairs and all that stuff, and they was doing pretty good up against each other, beating the hell out of each other. At one point, we actually see Bronson Reed running into a wedge steel chair in the corner, and then gets hit with a Superman punch. He gets pinned. 1, 2, Bronson Reed barely kicks out at 2, but then Bronson Reed rolls out of the ring, and Roman Reigns spots him, and he's over there by the barricade. So Roman is about to spear him through the barricade. So Roman comes running up, about to spear Bronson Reed through the barricade, but instead, Braun Breaker pops out of nowhere, spearing Roman Reigns outside on the floor, laying him out. And then that's when Bronson Reed gets up, and then they both picked up Roman Reigns, hitting the Shield powerbomb onto Roman Reigns through the announce table, laying him out, and they're about to drag him back into the ring so Bronson Reed can beat him. But then all of a sudden we see Jimmy and Jay, the Usos, come running out there, making the save. They hit a double super kick onto Braun Breaker outside the ring, taking him out. They get into the ring, they start beating down Bronson Reed and all that, and they start hitting a couple of super kicks on him, laying him out. And then we see Breaker coming up, and he got hit with a couple of super kicks as well. And then we see the Usos hit the 1D onto Braun Breaker, laying him out. And then we see Jay climbing up the top turnbuckle, about to hit the Uso splash onto Braun Breaker. But then we see Braun Breaker getting back up, hitting a gutbuster onto Jey Uso, laying him out. And then outside the ring, we see Jimmy Uso. He gets speared through the barricade by Braun Breaker, getting laid out. And then we see Bronson Reed climbing up the top turnbuckle, about to hit the tsunami onto Jay. But then Roman quickly gets back into the ring, hitting a Superman punch onto Bronson Reed, laying him out, knocking him off the top turnbuckle and all. And then we see Roman hitting another Superman punch, and after that, he was setting up for another spear onto Bronson Reed, but through a table that was set up in the corner. But Bronson Reed catches him. He got him up on his shoulders, but then Roman knocks him off, gets off of his shoulders and all. And then we see Jey Uso come running up, trying to spear Bronson Reed, but then Bronson Reed moves out the way, and he accidentally spears Roman through the table in the corner, getting laid out. And then we see Braun Breaker getting back into the ring, spearing Jay, laying him out. And then that's when Bronson Reed climbs up the top turnbuckle, jumping off with a tsunami onto Roman, pinning Roman for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Bronson Reed defeated Roman Reigns tonight in the Australian street fight. That's what happened there. Pretty good match, and Bronson Reed has been the second man to pin Roman Reigns in a singles match for the last couple of years. Yeah, Cody Rhodes is like the first one after the Tribal Chief run and all that stuff, and now Bronson Reed's like the second one. So yeah, that's pretty big for Bronson Reed, a big victory for him there. But yeah, Bronson Reed defeated Roman Reigns in the Australian street fight. It was a pretty damn good one. I'll give that match 3.5 stars. Actually, I'll give it 4 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good one, and Bronson Reed definitely needed the win. Pretty big for him. But yeah, Bronson Reed picked up the win tonight on Crown Jewel. And then after the Vision walks out, we see Roman Reigns all disappointed and upset with the Usos, and he was telling them that he loves them, but, you know, they should have stayed out of his business like he told them to. So yeah, that's what he was saying there, and he walks out. And then Jay's all upset and everything because of, you know, Roman being upset, and then Jay walks out on Jimmy. So yeah, that's what happened there. Crazy stuff there, but yeah, that's what happened. Pretty good stuff though. But next, it will be Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie Vaquer in a champion versus champion match up next on Crown Jewel. And we're going to be seeing more matches. Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes in the main event, and a lot more stuff. John Cena versus AJ Styles, and Io Sky and Rhea Ripley versus the Kabuki Warriors in a tag team match. So yeah, a lot more stuff to come later on tonight on Crown Jewel. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing that happened on Crown Jewel, we get to the next match of the night. It was the WWE Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer versus the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton in a champion versus champion match for the Crown Jewel Women's Championship. So yeah, we get to this match. In this match, it was a really good one. It was back and forth and everything. Both of these women coming up near falls in this match. It was pretty good. It was back to back and everything like that. We see Tiffany Stratton trying to do everything that she could do to try to pick up the victory over Stephanie, but Stephanie kept on continuing to fight through and all that stuff. We see Tiffany laying out Stephanie with where she had her up on her shoulders, hitting a that move where she does the flip and everything on her shoulders. So yeah, that's where she hits onto Stephanie. It's just blanking out my mind pretty much. And then we see Tiffany Stratton try to hit the prettiest moonsault ever onto Stephanie, but Stephanie moves out the way and Tiffany hits the mat. And then after that, Stephanie climbs up the top turnbuckle and she jumps off with the corkscrew splash onto Tiffany, pinning her for the 3 count. So yeah, Stephanie Vaquer defeated Tiffany Stratton tonight in the champion versus champion match, and she is the new Crown Jewel Women's Champion. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty good match though, and then after the match ended, we see Triple H coming in there, giving her the Crown Jewel Women's Championship, and then after that, we see I think it was Jackie Redmond that comes in there interviewing Stephanie Vaquer, and Stephanie Vaquer was somehow how great of a moment it is and all that. She appreciate the fans for backing her up and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what she says there, thanking the fans. So yeah, pretty big moment for Stephanie Vaquer there for that match. I'll give it 3.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good match. But yeah, that's what happened there. And then after that match ended, we go backstage where we see Paul Heyman talking to Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed backstage. And he was congratulating Bronson Reed for picking up the victory over Roman Reigns and all that stuff. And then they started talking about how they're going to be celebrating and all that stuff in the States. But then he was talking about Seth Rollins as well. And he tells Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed to not go out there and help Seth Rollins at all. And they actually asked, like, what will happen if Seth Rollins does lose to Cody Rhodes? And then Paul Heyman tells him that they pretty much already know the answer. So yeah, that's what Paul Heyman was saying. They're telling him not to help Seth Rollins because we'll go and see who's the best between both of them. So yeah, that's what Paul Heyman says. Later on tonight, that match is in the main event. But up next, it'll be John Cena versus AJ Styles one-on-one up next on Crown Jewel. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Crown Jewel, we get to the next match of the night. It was John Cena versus AJ Styles, one-on-one. And yeah, we get to this match. And this match, it was a really, really, really great match between these two guys. We see AJ Styles coming out there in the old TNA ring gear. So yeah, I'm talking about like before he started wearing the tights and all that stuff. Like AJ Styles comes out in that ring gear, which was pretty cool. Styles came out first, and then John Cena came out there with Alicia Taylor, pretty much announcing him, and then Cena gives her a piece of paper to announce AJ Styles as well, and calling him like the leader of Bullet Club and all that stuff. So that was a big pop right there, talking about from Total Nonstop Action and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what Cena did for AJ Styles, and AJ Styles, you could tell you loved it. It was great. But yeah, then we get to the match. In this match, it was a really great one as well. We see Cena and Styles going back and forth and everything. Cena hitting a couple attitude adjustments in this match on the Styles. Styles kept on kicking out at 2. We see Styles hitting a Styles clash on the Cena. Cena kicking out at 2. It was just back and forth and everything. But then both of these guys started doing tributes to other wrestlers in this match. Like, we see Cena locking on the Accolade at one point onto Styles. Styles fought out of that. We see Styles locking on the Coquina Clutch for Samoa Joe, and Cena fought out of that. We see Cena locking on the Walls of Jericho. They even said it on the commentary team, and Styles fought out of that. We see Cena hitting the Skull Crusher finale onto Styles. Cena hitting the Skull Crusher finale on the Styles. We see a bunch of moves in this match. Styles hitting a Sweet Chin Music. We see Styles hitting the Christopher Daniels finishing move, the Angel Wing, and we see Styles hitting moves from Frankie Kazarian, Sting, and I think he even hit Deadeye at one point as well. I think that was for Frankie Kazarian. So yeah, there was a bunch of cool moves in this match from Styles, and then we see Cena hitting a lot of moves as well in this one from people for like Bray Wyatt hitting Sister Abigail onto Styles. So yeah, it was just a bunch of cool spots in this match, and the fans was actually absolutely loving it. Like after he hit the Sister Abigail and all that, we see him pulling out the fireflies and stuff during this match, which was pretty cool. And then they wanted Cena to try to hit the 619, and Cena was going for it, but Styles fought back and everything. And yeah, it was just back and forth. We see Styles hitting the phenomenal forearm onto Cena. Cena barely kicked out at 2, and Cena hit a couple attitude adjustments on the Styles. We see Cena hitting a DDT off the second rope for Randy Orton and hitting the RKO for Randy as well. Styles kicked out at 2. He tries at the punk kick at one point onto Styles. Styles moved out of the way for that one. We see Cena hitting a choke slam for the Undertaker Hurricane pretty much. And then at the ending, we see Styles jumping off the top turnbuckle, tries to hit the crossbody onto Cena, but Cena grabs him, rolls through, picks him up on shoulders, but instead of going for the attitude adjustment immediately, he got him up there on his shoulders, and he manages to hit the Tombstone Power Driver for the Undertaker onto Styles, and then picks him up immediately, hitting an attitude adjustment onto Styles, pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, John Cena defeated AJ Styles tonight at Crown Jewel. That's what happened there. A really great match, though. For that match, I'll give it 5 stars. That's why I gotta give it 5 stars, because there was a bunch of great tributes in this one for The Undertaker, for Bray Wyatt, for Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, Frankie Kazarian, for even Rey Mysterio, even though he didn't hit the 619 onto him, Randy Orton, and so many others, Miz and all them, and Rusev and so many. So yeah, there was a bunch of cool moments in this match, so I gotta give it 5 stars. That's why I'll give it. But yeah, really great match between John Cena and AJ Styles, and after the match ended, they showed each other some respect with Cena hugging Styles and raising his hands. So yeah, that's what happened there. Pretty great stuff there. But yeah, really great match there. But up next, it will be Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors in a tag team match. Up next, and still to come later on tonight in the main event, it will be Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins in a champion versus champion match in the main event of Crown Jewel. So yeah, there's still a lot more matches to come later on tonight on Crown Jewel. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Crown Jewel, we get to the next match of the night. It was Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, in a tag team match. We get to this tag team match. In this match, it was a pretty good one. We see the Kabuki Warriors take control the majority of this match by beating down Io Sky, trying to make sure that she doesn't tag in Rhea Ripley. And yeah, they was doing pretty well up against Io Sky majority of the time, preventing her to do that tag in. But then eventually Rhea Ripley does come in, and she does start cleaning house a little bit, beating the hell out of Asuka and Kairi Sane. But then we start getting towards the ending of this match, where we see Rhea Ripley grabbing Asuka, and then she's up there on the top turnbuckle with Asuka, tries to hit the avalanche riptide onto Asuka, but then Kairi tags herself in and then pulls Asuka away from Rhea Ripley, saving her. But then Rhea Ripley starts beating the hell out of Kairi, and then she manages to hit the riptide onto Kairi, and then that's when she tags in Io. Io climbs up the top turnbuckle, and she hits the over-the-head moonsault onto Kairi, pinning her for the 3 count. So yeah, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky defeated Asuka and Kairi Sane of the Kabuki Warriors tonight in a tag team match. That's what happened there with Io pinning Kairi tonight. But yeah, for that match, I'll give it 3.5 stars. That's what I'll give it. It was a pretty good tag team match, but yeah, that's what happened there. But up next, it'll be the main event. It'll be the undisputed WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes, versus the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, in a champion versus champion match. And that match is for the Men's Crown Jewel Championship. Up next in the main event of Crown Jewel. So yeah, that match will be up next. And they showed a video package of the rivalry and stuff throughout the years. And, heading into Crown Jewel. So yeah, that match is up next, the main event. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then. So the next thing to happen on Crown Jewel, we get to the main event, and was the undisputed WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes, versus the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, in a champion versus champion match for the Men's Crown Jewel Championship. So yeah, we get to the main event. In this match, it was a really good one. Both of these guys beating the hell out of each other, going back and forth and everything in this one. we seen a bunch of near falls in this match. Like at one point, Cody hitting a crossroads on the Seth. Seth kicked out at 2. Seth hitting the curb stomp on the Cody. Cody barely kicked out at 2. So it was just going back and forth. But then during this match, we see Seth Rollins getting the upper hand, hitting a diving coast-to-coast diving headbutt onto Cody, getting a 2 count of that. And then at one point during this match, we actually see Seth getting out the ring, and he actually grabs the watch that Cody Rhodes gave him after WrestleMania 40 last year. And yeah, it was in the timekeeper's area. Seth Rollins grabs the watch, and he's thinking about using it on Cody, but then he decides not to, and then lays it down on the mat at the corner of the turnbuckle. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins does with that. He gets into the ring and he starts getting beat down by Cody. Eventually, they both ended up on the top turnbuckle at one point. We see Cody hitting an avalanche crossroads onto Seth Rollins off the top turnbuckle. He pins him 1, 2. Seth barely kicks out at 2. So yeah, Seth continued on fighting through this match. It was just back and forth and everything. But then we start getting towards the ending of this match where we see Cody trying to pedigree onto Seth, but then Seth fought out of it, crawling through Cody's legs. He grabs the watch, and then Cody starts beating down Seth again, kicks him right in the chest, and then Seth knocks down the referee after he got kicked in the chest by bumping into him. And then Cody tries to hit the crossroads on the Seth, but Seth had that watch in his hands, and then he throws a punch with the watch in his hands into Cody's face, laying him out, and then he hits a curb stomp onto Cody. The referee's getting back up to his feet, and then Seth climbs up the second turnbuckle. He jumps off with a second curb stomp, by a super curb stomp onto Cody, and he pins him for the 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Seth Rollins defeated Cody Rhodes tonight in the champion versus champion match, and he is the new men's Crown Jewel champion. That's why I've been there. A really great match. And then after the match ended, we see Triple H coming in there, handing Seth the title, and he raises his hand and all that stuff. And then after that, we see Kathy Kelly getting into the ring to try to interview Seth, but then Seth snatches the mic out of her hands. And then he says that he'll need Kathy Kelly to interview him, and then he was talking about how he's the greatest of all time because he done defeated Cody Rhodes once and for all. So yeah, that's what Seth Rollins was saying there. And yeah, pretty big moment for Seth right there, for Seth Rollins defeating Cody Rhodes tonight at Crown Jewel. But yeah, really great match and all that stuff for that match and what happened after the match and all that stuff. I'll give it 4.5 stars. That's why I'll give it. It was a really good match. But yeah, great match between both of those guys. For match of the night, I'd probably say it was maybe the main event, or I'll probably be saying that as AJ Styles versus John Cena. So I'll say that was match of the night right there, John Cena versus AJ Styles. But yeah, Crown Jewel, it was a really great show. It was way better than WrestlePalooza for sure. But yeah, for the whole show, I'll give it 9 stars as well. I'll give it was a really great show. But yeah, that has been my WWE Crown Jewel 2025 reviews. Like, subscribe to TNW Wrestling on YouTube, subscribe to my other channel, Word of Chris, and subscribe to this channel, Chris McDaniels, and follow me on all my social media accounts. I'll be down there in the description box. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys later on this Monday for my Monday Night Raw reviews. That'll be this Monday. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Till then.